Let us remember that every seed sown in conversation today is an idea that grow into impactful change tomorrow. So with that, now I would like to invite our first technical presenter, Mr. Gijs Manneveld. Everyone, please give a big round of applause for him for the first technical brand presentation. तालियां इतनी कम नहीं, थोड़ी सी तेज. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Good. Now you have to listen to me again. If you don't mind, I'll just be standing up because it looks a little bit better than sitting down. Again, I think I want to thank the opportunity for actually present what we do. What I've prepared is a couple of slides explaining what Epilogic does, just to give you a bit of a background. We are a lab that is specialized in phytopathology research. At the moment, we started in Europe. We're launching on the 8th of December in India, and we're also launching in the United States. But before I go into Epilogic, I also need to give a little bit couple of words about our owner, because we're part of the Tentamus group, which is a global group of labs, originally also from Germany, with headquarters in Berlin. And what the Tentamus group is and strive to be is a global partner for analysis, safety, and consultancy in the field of life sciences. At the moment, we are based in 22 countries. We have 97 locations and around 4,000 employees. So what does the group itself offer as a whole? So we are specialized with labs in food and feed, nutraceutical supplements, cosmetics, pharmaceutical, but also agri-sciences and agriculture and environment. And that's also where Epilogic steps in, but also me as a person, because next to being the managing director of Epilogic, one of the labs in the group, I'm also responsible for the global business development of our agri-sciences. So where is Tentamus? Not entirely global. We call it the global footprint, but that's perhaps a little bit arrogant. But we are in the US, North America. We are in the Middle East. We have location in Asia. We are in Hyderabad in India. But we are very strong in Europe. That's where we started it. Then going back to my own lab, because that's the reason why I'm here. We were founded almost 30 years ago in Germany by Dr. Friedrich Felsenstein in Freising. Freising is a city close to Munich in the south of Germany, where also the Technical University of Munich is located. And we are a phytopathology lab with a specialization in fungal plant pathogens. So what we offer is in vivo, in vitro, in planta and molecular research on fungal pathogen adaptation and resistance. I'll go a little bit more detail later on in some of the slides because it all sounds perhaps a little bit like magic, using all those nice little Latin words. Since December 21, we're part of the Tentamus group. So Dr. Felsenstein sold his company to the Tentamus group, and I stepped in as managing director. And since this year, we're also present in India, in Hyderabad, and in North America. Probably no one knows Niantic, but that's also an extremely small place just south of Chicago, in Illinois. So what do we offer? What is our global offer? Is we have a couple of services that we do. One of the things is that we do in vitro assays. So we can actually perform rapid fungicide resistance assays. So any fungal pathogen that grows on the media, we can actually quickly check with all different chemicals if it's either biofungicides or normal fungicides to see, okay, what is the reaction against those pathogens with the fungicide. We also do that in vivo. We do that actually on leaf segment assays. So we actually, have a very rapid screening representing, let's say, how things work in nature, but then under completely controlled conditions. But we can also offer virulence studies, which means that we can actually double check the different types of plants, what is their resistance against different pathogens. On top of that, we can also offer molecular analysis, so go deeper into the data, looking into what is actually the reason why there's adaptation or resistance. Is there a mutation? What are those mutations? What's the effect of the mutation? Then on top of that, we do also offer, in this case we start with that, is pathogen sampling. So we have a very unique sampling program in Europe. I have a little slide on that to show you how we do that. And then of course, we can also be able to develop new methods. So with all the experience we have over the last 30 years in plant pathology, We know what pathogens do, we know what plants do, so we actually can design studies that will help to provide the data that you need for the communication. So just as an example, so how does an in vivo bioassay look like? So this is actually a example from with an incredibly nice name, Phytopathology, which is a disease in potatoes. It's late blight, a very important disease in Europe. And essentially this is how our test method look. So what you will see is that we have grown our own plants, we cut leaf segments out of it and we treated those with different concentrations of fungicide. And what you see completely on the left is essentially our control, which is untreated leaves. And then moving forward, you will see higher concentrations of fungicide. And you will see that the top one is a sensitive pathogen isolate, because as you see at the end, the fungicide has done its work. On the bottom, you will see an adapted fungicide. So here you can see the difference where we'll be able to recognize how the different chemicals actually react with the pathogen. And it's important here to realize is that what we do is we do it on what we call single isolates, which means that you will really have a look into side of the population. But every fungal pathogen is a population of a complete family. So we really single out one single member of that family, and then we test against it. So you really get an insight in the family of the pathogen, how is it actually working. So we also have an example is the in vitro bioassays. They look less fancy, I have to say, but also important. On the right you will see Sclerotinia sclerotium, and this is how our design, and here you can already see how the different isolates respond to different concentrations of fungicide. And the same thing also with the 96 well plate you see over there with Septoria. Septoria is actually the biggest disease in Europe, in wheat. And we actually, because it's such a disease, and just to give you an idea, we run around 70,000 tests a year just in Europe for Septoria. And we do that fully automated. Here is what I said, our unique sampling story. You can also see that I sometimes also do the real work myself. Don't ask me why I put on the yellow jacket. But what we have is, as you see here is our van. We have a unique sport trap where we actually drive around Europe and collecting airborne pathogens. So you see at the map there, that's all the routes that we drive every year. So that's around 70,000 kilometers of driving, of sampling. We do also do some of the field sampling where needed, where there are no airborne pathogens, where you can see there me laughing in the mud, going through grapevines and collecting the samples. That we again use for our clients to run things. So the point of what we do is that every year again we get a new set of pathogens, samples from our clients, and every year our clients will get a new set of data to understand, okay, does my product still work? Yes or no? Is there any change in the product? I mean, what will happen to the product? And then our clients are able to actually, as an early warning system, be able to adapt their product or adapt their recommendations for using their product. So to go a little more in detail, to give you a bit of a concept of what, how can I use the services of Epilogic? So this as a use case, it's an example I've used more often, is the efficacy data for an existing molecule. So what happens, we collect either the fungal pathogens from field or airborne samples. We run our studies. Depending on the pathogens, we do that in vivo or in vitro. And what you actually get is very cost-effective, comparable, and regional efficacy data. So you will be able to compare, and I'm just going to use in this case Europe as an example, you'll be able to compare France versus Germany. Or within Germany, north of Germany versus south of Germany, because there are a huge amount of differences. And you will see the same thing also in India. North, mid, south, you will see different reactions to the fungicide and the different adaptations. What it does, this data provides you the insight in the effectiveness of the molecule across a region. Again, going back to the topic for today, useful communication. Knowing, what does my product? Is it still wise actually to use that much of my product in that part, in that region? Because if you already have a growing adaptation, the more you use it, the stronger the fungal pathogen will adapt. As a second use case, imagine you have a new molecule. So you want to know, I mean, what does my new molecule do? So most of the times, a lot of the companies use field trials, which are relatively expensive, and you always never know if a field trial is going to work, yes or no, because you could have had bad weather this year, you couldn't have the pathogen, you could have something else. There's always something that risks a field trial. So what we can offer is, because we all do this under lab conditions, we can offer essentially a lab field trial, very quick screening to see, okay, get the fungal pathogen. We will design a study to say, okay, what we will mimic, the closest to what we will use in the real world. We run the efficacy study, again, giving you very cost-effective insights in the suitability of the application before you go into a field trial. So essentially, you can actually save money because you already know upfront what's going to happen. And then with that dated, the next steps is you can run field trials. Then also there, Epilogic can actually support, because we do have a network of partners that can support in any climate geography. And then, of course, if you really want to launch your molecule in any region in the world, you need to have more data. And then again, that's beauty of being part of the Tentamus group, is that we have more labs, GLP labs as well, in the US and Europe, that actually can provide residue analysis and environmental fate studies. But the important thing is, I think, where Epilogic fits in is that, the pre-step before you really want to do it, just collect the data to understand, okay, does my molecule really work, yes or no? As a third use case, fungal pathogen screening, because we are running so many tests on so many different pathogens. So alone in Europe, we can run between 60 and 70 different pathogens. We have a huge library, which means that if you have, let's say, a new product, we can run screening. So we can actually look at pathogens and run very quick screenings. Okay, does it actually do something, yes or no? And then on top of that, we always run, as part of our studies, is a standard. So we always, if we have a sensitive standard, it means that we already have an isolate that we know is sensitive against many different things. We run it against it, so we can also have a comparison. Again, this will provide you very detailed and cost-effective insights in the effect of novel biofungicides against a very large set of fungal pathogens. So again, it's all about creating the data to understand what you're doing before you start communicating, also even internally. Because I think everyone knows that, if you have a new product and you go to marketing and you say it works, they want to sell it yesterday. And of course, you want to have some data to at least show, what does it do? Does it work? Get the confidence. So what will be your benefits of working with Epilogic globally? Well, one of the first things is that, we do bring almost 30 years of experience with plant pathology. Some of my team members started with Epilogic at the start of Epilogic, so they really have been working for 30 years on this. With what we do provide, so our studies, provide you really a wealth of data to deeply understand your product. I think, again, going back to my earlier address, it's about, understanding what you do. Our data can also act as an early warning system for potential adaptation. So if you run a monitoring program around India, you will start to understand, okay, where do I might have hotspots of issues where I need to address it? Do I need to change something of my formulation? Do I perhaps, especially with fungicides, you always have different mode of actions. Perhaps in my product, I combine it with a different mode of action just to lower the pressure on the pathogen. And again, with Epilogic, as we're part of a large network and we have partners, we can offer across the globe more support than just, the very specific service that Epilogic offers. And it's not just about agrochemicals, it's also about biocontrol, biostimulants, and fertilizers where we can support you with. So, focusing a little bit on India, I think a lot of people have asked me, why India? Well, I just said it. I think India is extremely important in this world. The agricultural industry is growing, the agrochemical industry is growing, agriculture itself. So I think our services really can play a very vital role within India. And luckily, Dr. Abhijit Pujari is there, who's going to lead it for me here in India and Hyderabad. Believes it also in that stage. So, that's the reason why we're working together. But what we want to offer is that we can offer a monitoring and early detection of fungal pathogens adaptation across India. I said it multiple times, our data will provide you that insight in understanding what is happening actually with my pathogen? Is my product still working? You know, the data will help you assess fungicide effectiveness. So to make sure, you know, the product performance is still right, but is also evaluated under Indian conditions. I mean, of course, you know, you can run a field trial somewhere else, but you know, we're actually really able to adapt. We can actually just screen. We can actually probably some of the studies that we do, we can adapt even more. So you may have even more stress, less stress, those kind of things. And again, with all that data and understanding, you know, it will help prevent crop losses through early detection. And I think that's the key message that I want to give. Again, going back to the communication. We will be able to provide you high quality bioefficacy data to make sure that your R&D is more accurate, but also accelerate regulatory approvals. Because again, understanding your product helps also to make sure that the regulators understand your product. Because that's the key part. I mean, I think perhaps a lot of you have had experience with Europe. The European Union is terrible, I know, and I apologize for that. But the point is, the more data you provide the European Union, the more likely they are to actually approve your product. We'll also be offering is reliable seed and plant health testing, just to ensure that seeds are free from fungal pathogens. Again, you know, we know the fungal pathogens, so we know how to detect them, and so we now know what the impact is. And also, we will be able to improve seed treatment validation. And I just want to say that I've already mentioned Dr. Abshihit, but Dr. Pawan Kumar is also here. He is our plant pathology manager for India. He has been trained with us. He spent 8 weeks. No, I think it's 10 weeks. He spent 10 weeks with us in Germany. And I can tell you he hated German food, but he loved my team. So, but I don't think he's really wrong about not liking German food, I have to admit. So, that was my part of introducing Epilogic. As you see, we're in Europe, also in India, so on coming Monday, we do the official launch of our lab in Hyderabad. And thank you for your attention. Any questions I would say we can do when I'm walking around, this probably saves some time.